Since kindergarten, Clyde and I have never gone more than 3 days without seeing each other. But ever since our families discussed our engagement, he has been avoiding me for a whole year. He blocked all my contact information. The security guards of his company said that irrelevant people and Giselle were not allowed to enter. As soon as I appeared within his sight, he would immediately turn and leave. Later, his friends couldn't stand it and took me to secretly find Clyde. When I arrived, Clyde's cold voice came from behind the door of the private room. A little thing that comes running at the beck and call. I feel that getting engaged to her is beneath me. I have neither the ability nor the personality. And getting engaged to her makes me feel like I'm lowering my status. I held the doorknob and didn't push the door any further. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Dan, who was standing behind me, quickly covered my ears. Sister, don't listen to what Clyde is saying. He's drunk and not thinking straight. I'll go and scold him for you. After saying that, he tried to push the door open. I grabbed Dan's sleeve and shook my head. All this time, I just wanted to ask Clyde why he was so resistant to our engagement. And it had even become known to everyone in the upper-class circle. I've been calling him brother for nearly 17 years. But he's not my real brother. Anyway, I have to get married. Why can't it be him? And now, I finally know the answer. It's not that I'm not good enough or that I'm not pretty enough. It's him. He has always regarded me as a little pet that he has raised since childhood, for amusement, to pass the time, or just to have me by his side because I look good. Dan wiped my tears with a handkerchief and mumbled, "Drew and the others are chatting nonsense. None of them are reliable. It's okay, Dan." I took a deep breath. "Can you take me home? I don't want to look for him anymore." "Okay." Sigh. Just as we were about to turn and leave, the door of the private room opened from the inside. We were stunned and looked at Drew, who opened the door. Face to face, Drew didn't know the situation and pulled my arm to make me go in. This drinking party was originally an opportunity for everyone to persuade Clyde to make up with me. Drew pulled me to sit opposite Clyde. "Clyde, even if you're against our families, you shouldn't treat Giselle like this. Sister Giselle has grown up with us. You should talk to her properly and not cause any misunderstandings with your sharp tongue but soft heart." Clyde didn't look up since I entered the room, but the back of his hand holding the cup was already showing blue veins. Dan followed in and winked at Drew and shook his head. Before Dan could pull me up, Clyde finally spoke. "Giselle, why don't you listen to me? I told you that we shouldn't meet until my grandpa and my parents changed their minds. Why are you being so willful?" I hung my head and didn't know what to say. The atmosphere in the private room was stagnant. The last time Clyde was this angry was when a senior who had a good relationship with him confessed to me. Dan sighed and came over to pat my head. Then he called the other brothers in the private room out, leaving me alone with Clyde to talk. Clyde drank a mouthful of wine irritably. "Sister, can't you have some self-esteem? I've said that I'm not interested in you. I've never regarded you as a woman. Instead of clinging to me, can't you improve yourself? All you know is to revolve around men. Are you being cheap? When I take over the company in the future and often go on business trips and attend meetings, I can't always take you with me." I felt as if I had fallen into the cold sea, and my whole body was cold. I didn't have the strength to say anything. "So this is how he has been looking at me all these years. So you should stay away from me obediently. I guess the old man will soon give up on our engagement." "I understand. Will you stop asking Dan and the others to help you find me?" "I won't bother anymore." The pictures from my childhood flashed through my mind like a lantern show. I used to regard these memories as my most precious treasures. Now, I feel so ridiculous. I ignored the fact that since high school, Clyde had been getting more and more impatient with me. I ignored his undisguised disgust for my clothes and appearance. I ignored the fact that after he knew that his senior had confessed to me, he subconsciously said, "How could anyone like her?" I looked up and seriously looked at Clyde. "Clyde, brother, I'm grateful that you saved me when I was a child. From now on, I'll remember this and won't bother you anymore." After saying that, I got up and left without looking back. When I got back to the villa and turned on the lights, the whole villa was still the familiar empty space. My parents were away from home all year round, and my grandpa lived in the mountains to cultivate his character. According to Clyde's mother, since I was born, there was only a nanny taking care of me. When I was 3 years old, one day, the nanny went out to buy groceries and didn't close the door. I ran out of the villa and fell in the middle of the road. Clyde, who was playing in the yard, heard my crying and took me back to his home. In the next 10 odd years, I grew up following Clyde. I went to the same primary school, middle school, and even university as him. When I was bullied because of my introverted personality, Clyde stood up for me. He taught me how to protect myself. In total, Clyde had been in my life much longer than my so-called parents. I relied on him too much. So when he started avoiding me, I was so panicked that I looked for him everywhere. I felt that the whole world was terrifyingly empty. A year wasn't a long time, but it was more difficult than the previous 10 odd years. I sat in front of the computer, looking at the email that my exchange student application had been approved. The psychologist said that I should change my environment and cultivate new hobbies to distract myself. I originally wanted to tell Clyde. Thinking of this, I smiled self-deprecatingly. He probably can't wait for me to stay far away from him. I only sent a text message to my parents when I left, even if they didn't care. When I landed in Italy, I managed to complete all the procedures and rent a place to live. It wasn't as difficult as I had imagined. During the period waiting for the school to start, I traveled and collected inspiration in several nearby cities. Just like what the psychologist said, going out for a walk really can change my state of mind. My habits can also change. After being stolen from 3 times and harassed countless times, I decided to learn martial arts. No one will protect me in the future, so I have to learn to protect myself. 2 months after the school started in Italy, I suddenly received a call from Dan. Sister Giselle, why didn't you tell us that you went to Italy? We only found out when we accidentally met your classmate. Yeah, I went abroad to study and relax. I'll be back in a few months. Don't worry. Then how's your daily life now? Is the place you're living in safe? It's all good and safe. That's good. Why don't you tell your brother? He has friends there. No need. I'm fine. I don't want to trouble others. Okay. Then if you have anything, contact me. And your brother in time. In the office, Dan turned off the phone after hearing the other side hang up. She has some nerve. Clyde twirled the lighter with a gloomy face. Brother Clyde, it was you who told her not to look for you. Dan lazily sat on the sofa and looked at Giselle's exchange student application form. Just because she's not looking for me doesn't mean she can't make a call or send a text message. Oh, my dear Lord. Look at your blacklist. It was you who said that we should act like we mean it and directly blocked her. How can she tell you? If I were her, I wouldn't want to talk to you either. Dan rolled his eyes. He was Clyde's childhood friend and had also watched Giselle grow up. He knew more or less about the affairs of the Sue family. Giselle had been neglected by her parents since childhood, didn't talk much, and was especially attached to Clyde. But Clyde didn't have any romantic feelings for her. He was clearly worried when she was far away, but he was stubborn. This whole thing was such a mess. After Dan left, Clyde rubbed his forehead. There was a feeling of anger in his heart that he couldn't let out. It was even more annoying than when he saw so many portraits of himself in Giselle's art studio. The old men of the 2 families jointly pressured him to get engaged to Giselle. Giselle had just started her junior year. What did that little kid who had never been in a relationship know? Clyde swiped the screen of his phone. After hesitating for a while, he took Sister out of the blacklist. Then he dialed the internal line and called Secretary Lynn in. Mr. Clyde, you called for me. Giselle went to Italy by herself. Secretary Lynn raised the corners of her mouth, but the proud expression disappeared in an instant. This shows that the suppressing education I suggested has worked. Miss Giselle has never been disciplined since she was a child, and no one has corrected her when she did something wrong. She's already in her junior year, and all she knows is to revolve around you. What future can she have? For such a girl without self-awareness, if you don't say harsh words to her, she'll never be able to stand on her own. Secretary Lynn smiled and explained. Also, just because Miss Giselle went abroad doesn't mean she's made any progress. Maybe she's trying to play hard to get, just like in those romance novels. I'm a woman too. I understand her little thoughts. To correct her obsession with relationships, you must keep a proper distance. Clyde thought for a while and said, but she's never been far away from home. Miss Giselle is already in her junior year. What can't she do? When I graduated from high school, I was even younger than her, and I was able to go to a strange city for college. There aren't that many difficulties. Girls don't need to be coddled so much. Clyde thought about it and realized that what she said made sense. Maybe Giselle had met too few men, so she confused the family affection she had for him with love. It was time for her to go out on her own. Clyde asked Secretary Lynn to cancel the plane ticket to Italy that he had just booked and then turned to deal with the company's affairs. Bang bang bang. Perfetto. I nodded to the coach, put down the M1, and rubbed my wrist. My shooting performance had improved a lot compared to last time. I silently packed my things and cleared my mind. I still had a martial arts class in the afternoon, and I had to go back early in the evening. Otherwise, I would meet that annoying neighbor again. Just as I reached the door, a tall Asian man walked towards me. I silently lowered my head to avoid him, but the man walked straight up to me and stopped. "Excuse me, are you Miss Giselle?" "Yes. Who are you?" I looked up curiously. The man in front of me was wearing a tailor-made suit. He was nearly 19 meters tall and exuded the oppressive aura of a person in a high position. But the moment I met his eyes, that oppressive feeling disappeared. His eyes were actually dark blue. "My name is Felix. I'm Clyde's friend." "Oh, hello. Clyde told me that you came to study here by yourself, and he's not at ease. He asked me to take care of you. The apartment you're living in isn't very safe. I've arranged a place for you to live. Would you like to move there?" "Miss Giselle, you can give Clyde a call." Felix made a gesture of invitation, and we sat down in the cafe next door. He took out his phone and dialed a number. After the call connected and we exchanged some pleasantries, he handed me the phone in a gentlemanly manner. "Giselle." "Yeah, the Felix family has some business dealings with the Clyde family. Felix will arrange your accommodation, and you can ask him about anything in your daily life." I composed myself when I heard the familiar voice. It was as if I had gone back to the time when Clyde hadn't been avoiding me. Maybe it was the time, or maybe it was the long distance, or maybe the 1-year abstinence had taken effect. I wasn't as sad as I had imagined. "Okay, I understand. Thank you." There was a momentary pause on the other end of the phone, and then he continued to speak. "But don't be like a soft-boned person and rely on others. Learn to be independent and make some progress. Do you understand?" "I know." After hanging up, I handed the phone back to Felix with both hands. I obediently followed him to the car. Since he was a business partner, Clyde must have promised Felix some benefits. In a foreign country, for my own safety, I wouldn't be stubborn and not listen to the arrangement. In the car, Felix directly called someone to pack my luggage. Then he took me to have Chinese food. An hour later, the driver drove the car directly into a manor. "Miss Giselle, please." "Thank you, Mr. Felix." As soon as I got out of the car, I saw the butler and several maids waiting. Felix motioned for me to follow him in. "You don't have to call me Mr. I was 7 years old when you went abroad, and we met a few times at Clyde's house." I looked up at the man in confusion. "At that time, you were playing hide-and-seek with Clyde and bumped into my leg. Then you sat on the ground and started crying." Felix recalled that he had a deep impression of Giselle at that time. He went to Clyde's house with his father. As soon as he entered the door, a little white ball of cotton bumped into him. Like other children of that age, if they were hurt, they should have cried loudly. But little Giselle just touched her nose, sat on the ground, and blinked her eyes and shed tears. Before he could comfort her, the little cotton ball wiped her tears by herself. She said to herself, "Giselle doesn't hurt. Be good." Then she stood up and ran away. Combined with the information his assistant gave him this morning, I guess no one comforted her when she was in pain. At that time, that kid Clyde was only 9 years old, and Clyde's parents didn't have time to take care of this neighbor's child. Felix thought at that time, if no one wanted this child, it would be better to take her abroad and raise her himself. Unexpectedly, more than 10 years had passed, and now his childhood thought had come true. Before I knew it, we walked to the second floor. In a room with the door open on the right side of the stairs, there was a man and 2 or 3 maids packing my luggage. The man greeted us when he saw us. "Mr. Felix, Miss Giselle." "Mr. Felix, didn't you say we were going to the flat in the south? Why did we change to your manor?" Hearing this, I also looked up at Felix. The tall man touched the tip of his nose. "Oh, my cousin is coming to live there recently, so I can only arrange for Miss Giselle to stay here." "Oh, okay." The following days passed very peacefully. Felix even set up a small art studio for me in the study on the 3rd floor. When I didn't have classes, I painted in the studio. Felix often sat in the study dealing with work. Sometimes he would sit next to me and watch me paint, jokingly saying that he wanted to collect the works of a future master. After he knew that I was learning shooting and martial arts, he even volunteered to be my coach. Seeing that my clothes were all in a simple and sporty style, he even asked high-end luxury brands to send a bunch of matched clothes. He has a good taste. I didn't even know that I could dress so beautifully. I thought that my life would always be this peaceful. Until one day, I noticed a different atmosphere in the manor. The butler knocked on my door. "Miss Giselle, the manor is going to have a big cleaning. You need to stay in a hotel for a few days to a week. The driver and the maids will go too. It won't affect your living habits." I scratched the doorframe with my fingertips. After hesitating for a moment, I couldn't help but ask, "Is Felix also going to stay in the hotel?" In this situation, my heart sank. Somehow, it felt familiar. Did Felix also get tired of me? Even though I had only lived here for 3 months. "Sir, he's going on a business trip. He will come to pick you up in person when he comes back." I clenched my hands tightly, suppressed the sour feeling in my heart, and agreed. "Okay, when are we leaving?" "Right now." I said I would change my clothes and closed the door. I smiled self-deprecatingly. "It's nothing. It's not the first time." Recalling the 3 months of getting along with Felix, sometimes I had the illusion that I had met someone of the same kind. Some compulsive little actions, plus his interpretation of my paintings. Forget it. I don't want to think about it. Maybe he really has something to be busy with. I carried a school bag and went downstairs. Almost all the maids in the manor had left. Only the butler and the driver were waiting at the door. Suddenly, I had a wild thought. Could it be that Felix went bankrupt? I couldn't help but find some amusement in my suffering, and I choked on my saliva. I gestured to the butler and turned around to run to the kitchen to get some water. I'm still not very familiar with this manor. It's not too big, but it's not small either. After drinking water, I passed a door that was slightly ajar. There was the sound of broken glass coming from that room. Didn't they say that everyone had left? Could it be Felix's pet cat or dog? Sure enough, curiosity killed the cat. I went back to the kitchen, picked up a knife, and pushed open the slightly ajar door. Behind the door was a staircase going down. Is this the basement? The light by the stairs was on, and there were all kinds of beautiful murals on the wall. I held my phone in one hand and the knife in the other and slowly walked down. There was another door below, and it was very exquisite. I thought about stopping. What if there was danger? Just as I was about to leave, I heard a familiar voice. Although it was just a muffled groan, I recognized it as Felix's voice. I turned around and opened the door. It was really him sitting on the ground looking decadent. There were fragments of a wine bottle on the ground, and Felix was holding a piece of glass in his right hand. His left hand was all bloody from hitting the wall. Between closing the door and going in out of kindness, I chose to call him while leaning against the door. I was timid, but not completely so. "Felix, Felix, are you okay?" Felix's body sitting on the ground suddenly froze, and his muscles tensed up. It seemed that he didn't expect someone to talk to him. He turned to look at me at the door. "Giselle, how did you find this place? Didn't the butler take you away?" Felix forced a gentle smile as usual. If we ignored his trembling left hand, I hesitated for a few minutes and regretted calling him. "Then I'll leave. I won't disturb you. Don't forget to deal with the wound on your hand." Just as I was about to close the door, I vaguely heard the man's soft plea. "Don't go." "Huh, I won't hurt you. Don't be afraid. I just had a nightmare and couldn't sleep. I'm a little scared." "Giselle, can you stay with me for a while?" I left the basement and saw the butler still at the door. "Miss Giselle, what are you going to do?" "I'll take care of him. I think Felix should have called you just now." Sigh. "Okay. Miss Giselle, Mr. Felix doesn't have any terrible problems. It's just that the anniversary of his mother's death is coming up. Sir, he has some psychological shadows." "Okay." I took the first aid kit and went back to the basement. I helped him onto the bed in the basement and bandaged his wound. "Aren't you going to ask?" "No. But if you want to talk, I can listen." "It's nothing." "Okay." Felix couldn't fall asleep, so I read books with him. Anyway, I often can't sleep. Or we watched movies on the tablet together. Until 3 days later, Felix returned to his usual self and pulled me out of the basement. The maids and the butler in the manor acted as if nothing had happened. However, there was some subtle emotion between me and Felix. "Giselle, can you do me a favor?" I had just finished my final work in the art studio on the 3rd floor. I turned around and saw Felix sitting next to me with a smile on his face. "Sure." Felix raised his eyebrows. "I haven't told you what the favor is yet. With Felix's wealth and status, I can't help you get anything. I don't have much social contact, so it's not asking me to introduce you to any connections. So the only thing useful about me is myself. Do you want me to paint? Or do you want me to accompany you to some occasion?" I shrugged. Most likely, he wanted me to attend an event as his female companion. You're so smart. I want to invite you to my Aunt Mrs. Guardy's dinner party. My aunt likes to introduce me to the noble ladies she knows. It's hard for me to get away from her every time. I didn't have any close ladies by my side in previous years. Now that you're here, I readily agreed. Although I wasn't disciplined since I was a child, I didn't lack money and material things. So I learned all the things I should learn by finding people to teach me. That morning, Felix personally put the dress in my room. It was a high-end custom-made dress from Marquesa. The dress was a dreamy pink. The design of the dress was complicated. Multiple layers of tulle overlapped to form a fluffy skirt. The upper body was decorated with flowers. The whole dress was grand but also very playful. After changing, the stylist did my makeup and hair according to the dress. I held the hem of the dress and stood on the second floor. Felix heard the sound and looked up from the sofa. When he saw me, his dark blue eyes widened, and he didn't hide his surprise. Then he quickly went upstairs. He stopped one step below me. He gave a gentlemanly bow and then stretched out his hand. Dear princess, would you like to attend the dinner party with me? I couldn't help but laugh. It was really childish. I put my hand in his palm. Just as I was about to go downstairs, I felt that the man in front of me didn't move. I looked up in confusion and asked him with my eyes, Giselle, this is the first time you've smiled since you came here. Do you know why I chose this dress for you? I shook my head. Don't wither because of people with bad eyesight. You are already beautiful enough, both on the outside and in your soul. The dinner party went very smoothly. Mrs. Guardy liked me very much, and there were no women around Felix as he said. After the opening dance, Felix invited me to the dance floor. Felix, it seems that your charm isn't enough. You said you would use me as a shield, but it doesn't seem to work. Felix lowered his head. It's because a certain miss is too dazzling. I looked up and met his deep eyes. They were dark blue, quiet, but also hiding something turbulent. In the past few months, I actually noticed that he was different to me. It wasn't pity, it wasn't politeness, and it wasn't the care for a junior. It was tolerance, doting, and appreciation. I don't know if this is cheesy, but this is the metaphor that can best express my thoughts. Felix's voice was as deep as a magnificent and elegant cello. I want to be a gardener, nurture and water a flower until it blooms, and then spend my whole life admiring and loving this beauty until it fades away. I felt the hand around my waist suddenly tighten, and I fell into the man's arms. Sorry, I was a bit out of line. Felix said he was sorry, but the strength of his arms around me didn't loosen at all. Mr. Felix, did you not learn Chinese well before going abroad? Your confession is really cliched. I said I disliked it, but I understood what he meant. When the dance ended, I broke free from his embrace. Felix didn't play by the rules. Just as I took 2 steps, he grabbed my arm and picked me up. The people around us all exclaimed. He carried me all the way out of Mrs. Guardy's manor. He went straight to the door, got in the car, and told the driver to leave. We didn't say anything on the way. After we got back to Felix's manor, he carried me out horizontally again. His movements were gentle but irresistible. He walked through the front hall and put me down in the middle of the garden. Giselle, you didn't reject me. Felix finally tore off his gentle disguise. A man who had built a business empire abroad couldn't be a knight full of tenderness. What do you like about me? I stared into his eyes. Everything. The first time I saw you at the shooting club, I watched you from outside the door for a long time. You looked so fragile that you could be crushed with one hand. But you were so fierce and attractive. You lack love. You feel inferior. You don't trust anyone. But you can paint such clean and artistic paintings. Everything about you is in line with my aesthetic. The nanny who gave you sleeping pills when you were a child and beat and scolded you became a vegetable because she fell down. The girls around Clyde who spoke ill of you all received anonymous threats. The neighbor downstairs in the apartment in Italy who always flirted with you had a garbage bag put on him. And you kicked him in the crotch. You're clearly a little leopard. But you disguised yourself as a little white rabbit without any sense of incongruity. I slapped away the hand that was touching my face. He looked so obsessed. Like a pervert. So what? I looked at this big bad wolf who showed his fangs. You accompanied me in the basement for 3 days. I thought at that time, how nice it would be if you could stay by my side all the time. Felix's hand stroked my side face, and then slowly moved down to pinch my neck, exerting a little force. It was as if my life was in his hand. He was domineering. Be my significant other. I can be your family, your friend, your lover, all the relationships you want, and give you all my love. And I completely belong to you. My wealth, my relatives, my body, my soul, my life. At this moment, time seemed to stand still. I was tempted by the words, all my love. I heard my own voice. Okay. Then I was pulled into the embrace that seemed to control my whole world. An eager kiss fell. It was like giving me oxygen. It was also like trying to swallow my whole soul. The next day, I was woken up by the ringtone of my phone. My phone was on mute all the time. After coming to Italy, except for Felix, I didn't tell anyone my phone number. The ringtone annoyed me. Just as I was about to get up and throw the phone, a hand stroked my face. It soothed me slowly, and I let go of my lower lip that I was biting. Felix's voice rang in my ear. It's okay. It's my phone. Be good. After saying that, he picked up the phone and looked at the screen. He neither hung up nor answered. I lay in Felix's arms, opened my eyes, and looked up. He raised his eyebrows with interest. It's Clyde. Are you going to answer it? The man lowered his head and pecked me. Give it to me. I rolled my eyes. Felix was so childish. Felix, I heard that you took Giselle to the dance yesterday. Thank you for taking care of her. Giselle isn't used to attending such occasions. Did she cause you any trouble? I coughed. I didn't cause Felix any trouble, and I was very obedient. I was so dizzy that I ended up in his bed yesterday. I despised myself who was coaxed by the man yesterday. Giselle. Yeah, it seems that you called Felix. So he gave me the phone. Your habit of getting up early is very good. Keep it up. Clyde probably thought we had already gotten up and had breakfast. I didn't want to explain either. Okay, brother. We chatted about some unimportant things. And then Clyde hung up the phone. Clyde stood on the golf course with a few friends. He looked proud. I told you so. My sister went to Mrs. Guardy's dinner party yesterday and recognized Giselle from your family. Clyde. Clyde looked at the phone call page with an unclear expression. Do you have any photos? Yes. My sister sent them to me. Giselle has never dressed so beautifully in China. Did you, as her brother, not let her dress up? Gary was still joking carelessly. He laughed dryly and then felt that the atmosphere was wrong. Show me the photos. Clyde's voice turned completely cold. Oh, okay. Just as Gary flipped out the chat records, Clyde snatched them away. His sister took more than 10 photos. There were photos of the two of them entering the venue arm in arm. There were photos of the two of them dancing on the dance floor. There were photos of Felix carrying Giselle horizontally in his arms and leaving. His sister also sent several messages. Look, these two are definitely in a relationship. Right. My mom also said that I should get to know Mr. Felix. But it turns out that he already has someone. I have to say, this little girl is really pretty. Felix is truly a gentleman who can keep his composure. Clyde's face turned terrifyingly dark. Hey, Clyde. Be gentle with my phone. It'll get deformed later. Gary chattered and quickly rescued his phone. Dan also saw the photos inside, trying to comfort Clyde. Sister Giselle looks really nice in the evening dress. She's willing to attend the banquet. She has made progress after all. Progress. Huh? Clyde waved away Dan's hand on his shoulder and gritted his teeth. Felix. After being with Felix, I suddenly felt that the whole world had changed. The day after we confirmed our relationship, Felix handed me the property transfer documents. All the properties under his name, including the manor where we lived. My name was written on them, and most of his companies in Italy and in China were transferred to me. Are you crazy? In the study, Felix sat on the office chair, and I sat on his lap. I flipped through a large stack of property transfer documents. Not. What if I didn't agree to be with you? We're not married yet. What if I run away with the money? I widened my eyes and looked back at the man who was smiling indulgently. Yes, I'm crazy. A big crazy person matches a little crazy person. We're a perfect match. And, baby, you look so cute when you're surprised. I'm thinking about what else to give you. I quickly covered the man's mouth. You. The man who has blossomed late is so mushy. Forget it. Since I chose this man, I'll dote on him. Giselle. This will be our home from now on. Felix buried his head in my neck. I looked at the sunlight shining into the study, and a sweet smell filled the air. I took a deep breath and inhaled the smell into my chest. Okay. I had never been this happy before. We have a home. Just as we were immersed in the happiness of our two-person world, my phone rang. Since Felix found out that I had ringtone phobia last time, he replaced all my ringtones with the songs he hummed. To be honest, Felix's voice was very effective in soothing me. I picked up the phone and found that it was a call. The caller was Mother. It's okay. Answer it. Felix kissed my ear from behind. I composed myself and answered the call. Giselle. When are you coming back to the country? In 5 months. Mr. Clyde's grandfather is holding a birthday party next week. You should go and attend it. Okay. Did you have a conflict with Clyde? No. Then why are you calling me? Don't bother me with such unimportant things in the future. Okay. I looked at the phone that had been hung up and stared blankly. Felix. I don't seem to be sad anymore. I don't even want to know why she hates me. I was turned around by Felix to face him. He stroked my hair and then kissed my forehead. Good girl. I touched my forehead. Tears couldn't be controlled and flowed out. I plunged into the man's arms and cried heartbreakingly. Just cry. It'll be better after crying. You won't be wronged anymore. Felix and I came back the day before Mr. Clyde's grandfather's birthday. I took him to my villa. Felix was jealous all night after seeing the paintings in my art studio. I promised to paint more for him to calm him down. When I held Felix's arm and arrived at the banquet hall, a lot of people were already there. Before I could see Clyde's family, Felix was surrounded by a group of people to exchange greetings. I secretly slipped out. I found a quiet corner and started eating a small cake. Miss Giselle. I looked up, and it was Secretary Lynn wearing a white strapless long dress. She was the woman I hated the most. Secretary Lynn sat next to me as if she didn't see me rolling my eyes at her. Miss Giselle is back. I thought you had the backbone not to pester Mr. Clyde anymore. Secretary Lynn swayed her red wine and whispered malicious words to me. A girl should have self-esteem. Don't stick to the Clyde family like a piece of chewing gum. You don't know how much Mr. Clyde's mother dislikes you. You're just a wild girl with no one to care for you. Mentioning the engagement was just to give your grandfather some face. You're just something for amusement. I'm the woman who is qualified to stand by Mr. Clyde's side. You look like a seductive fox. You must be dreaming of being Mr. Clyde's little wife. Right. I looked at the small cake in my hand. I lost my appetite. Secretary Lynn knew that I had serious psychological problems. She had provoked me with her sarcastic words before. I was extremely insecure because Clyde stayed away from me before. So her provocations were very successful every time. This time, her true colors were finally revealed. I felt so disgusted that I wanted to hit her. But I couldn't ruin Mr. Clyde's grandfather's birthday party. I stood up and planned to stay away from her. I might as well just ignore her. But she grabbed my wrist and pushed me. Ouch! The red wine in her hand spilled all over her dress. Miss Giselle, I have no improper thoughts about Mr. Clyde. You don't have to be hostile to all the women around Mr. Clyde. Secretary Lynn raised her voice, attracting the attention of most people in the hall. I turned around as if I had a premonition. Sure enough, Clyde was supporting his grandfather as they came out of the room. His mother was following behind. Giselle, what are you doing? Clyde frowned and looked at Secretary Lynn's dress, and questioned me with a frown. Clyde's mother also spoke with a look of disapproval. Giselle, today is your Mr. Clyde's grandfather's birthday. You're not Mr. Clyde's fiancé yet. You can't act so recklessly. What did I teach you before? Being jealous regardless of the occasion is so petty. Mr. Clyde's grandfather also frowned and knocked his cane a few times. Girl, you should go back and reflect on your actions. I have to discipline you for your grandfather. No. What's going on? It's like a cheesy TV drama. The plot is so cliched that even some brainless short dramas wouldn't bother to film it. I was shocked by what these people said. Giselle. Felix ran over from the other side of the hall immediately. The man frowned, and his face was terrifyingly dark. I quickly took his hand and shook it. It's okay. I can handle it myself. Secretary Lynn walked behind Clyde looking aggrieved, and Clyde's mother took her hand and patted it to comfort her. People really laugh when they're speechless. I ignored their accusations against me. I calmly took out the voice recorder from my handbag, turned it on, and turned up the volume. You don't know how much Mr. Clyde's mother dislikes you. A wild girl with no one to care for you. I'm the woman who is qualified to stand by Mr. Clyde's side. You look like a seductive fox. Don't pretend to be high and mighty. Believe it or not, with just this glass of wine, I can make you get out. In an instant. The banquet hall was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. The expressions of the people watching changed from curiosity to disdain. The faces of the people in the Clyde family were as colorful as a palette. And Secretary Lynn's face turned pale, and she slowly let go of the hand holding Clyde's mother. Pfft. I don't know which lady laughed. The people around started whispering. Who said that the Clyde family dotes on Miss Sue? They're so mean. They must have bullied that child many times. Didn't they say that the Clyde family proposed the engagement? Maybe they thought that Miss Giselle's family background was good and she was easy to manipulate. Indeed, Miss Giselle's family is from a scholarly family. They're blatantly bullying her. Probably because her parents are always away doing archaeological research. However, this little girl is really pretty and smart. Don't say that. I kind of want to take her as my daughter-in-law. I raised a fake professional smile and turned off the voice recorder. Are you kidding? I've been bullied since I was a child, and my sense of prevention is at its maximum. A voice recorder is an essential item in my daily life. By the way, to record Mr. Clyde's grandfather's birthday, I also brought a micro camera. I took off the brooch pinned to my dress. Do you want to watch the video? I tilted my head and blinked my eyes. Cough. It's all a misunderstanding. Clyde, what's going on with the secretary you brought? Is she here to ruin my birthday party? Clyde's grandfather waved his cane and hit Clyde's leg. Clyde's mother came over and took my hand. Oh, it's my fault. I was too hasty. I was afraid that Giselle had learned some bad habits outside. Auntie, I've always regarded you as my own daughter. I'm afraid you'll make mistakes. It's because I care about you that I'm strict with you. I nodded perfunctorily and pulled my hand out without leaving a trace. Yes, Auntie. What did you just say about the engagement? Brother Clyde and I have a pure brother-sister relationship. Neither of us has agreed to the engagement. Don't try to match us up randomly. I blinked my eyes cutely and then looked at Clyde with a gloomy face. Right, Brother Clyde. Your green tea secretary is really scary. If I didn't bring a voice recorder, I would have been wronged by you. You're so petty for framing me even before the engagement. I stamped my foot exaggeratedly. Then I turned around and smiled at Clyde's mother. Right. I made sarcastic remarks, and the people in front of me didn't dare to say anything. Do they think I'm easy to bully? Even an honest person will explode sometimes. I snorted softly and turned around to hold the man who was looking at me indulgently. Honey, did I do something wrong? Why do Aunt Jiang and Mr. Clyde's grandfather dislike me so much? I originally wanted to introduce my dear boyfriend to them. Felix pulled me into his arms and kissed the top of my head. Let's stay away from these people. Okay. Felix raised his head, put away his smile, and looked at Clyde's grandfather. Since we're not welcome here, Giselle and I won't disturb your birthday. Clyde's grandfather. Goodbye. Without waiting for the Clyde family to answer, he put his arm around me and we walked out. Giselle. Wait a moment. Clyde finally spoke and tried to stop me. But Felix and I looked at each other and smiled. And neither of us stopped. When we got back to my home, as soon as we entered the door, Felix pressed me against the door. Like a hungry wolf, he kissed my lips and invaded urgently. My mind went blank, and I tilted my head to bear the man's surging love. I don't know how long it took, but the man reluctantly stepped back a little, still pecking at my lips. Giselle, do you know how beautiful you are? The way the little white rabbit bites is so charming. Tell me, did you cast a spell on me? I blushed and pushed the man away. I don't know if it's because he's half Chinese and half Italian. When he's serious, he looks like a classic overbearing president. And when he's head over heels in love, he's terrifyingly passionate. However, I like it very much. What I desire the most is this blatant love. I hugged Felix's waist and buried myself in his arms. Maybe it's because I have you behind me that I dare to be so bold. I'm a bad woman who holds grudges. Now that I have someone to rely on, I'll bite anyone who provokes me. The man laughed and hugged me even tighter. Okay, if you can't bite, I'll help you bite. When I woke up the next day, it was already noon. After washing up in a daze, I went downstairs and found Felix wearing an apron and cooking in the kitchen. I watched the man skillfully cooking and cutting vegetables, and I hugged his waist from behind. Did you sleep well? Yeah, okay. We'll have a meal soon. Just as I was about to peek at what he was cooking, the doorbell rang. I ran to the door from the kitchen and opened it. It was Clyde. I gently closed the door and turned around to look at him. About what happened yesterday. I'm sorry. Clyde's voice was hoarse. Looking closely, there were dark circles under his eyes. Oh, I won't say it's okay. I'll quote a famous saying. If an apology is useful, what's the need for the police? Is there anything else? I wanted to go back and have my brunch. Yesterday, you and Felix, were you trying to make me angry? The conflict between us. It's better not to involve outsiders. And Felix is very busy every day. Don't always trouble him. I wasn't trying to make you angry. Felix is my boyfriend. He's not an outsider. He's my man. I looked into his eyes and explained seriously. Clyde was stunned. Then his eyes widened in disbelief. His voice also got louder. You and Felix. Do you know what you're doing? He's 3 years older than me. I shrugged. Yeah, he's 6 years older than me. It's not like he's 10 or 20 years older. Isn't this age difference normal? He doesn't treat me like a child. Clyde still had that unacceptable expression. Then he frowned and grabbed my arm. No way. I struggled hard but couldn't break free. Why? Do you know? Stop trying to sow discord. Let go of me. Do you know that his family is not normal? I stopped moving and was slightly taken aback. What? Do you know that Felix's mother was forced to death by his father? Felix's father is an obsessive-compulsive control freak. He imprisoned his mother in the Meng family for 10 years. Later, his mother suffered from severe depression. One moment she was greeting Felix downstairs, and the next moment she jumped off the building and died in front of him. Felix watched his mother fall to her death with his own eyes. His father is a control freak, and so is he. Do you know how ruthless his methods are? In Italy, the people who betrayed him have a terrifying end. How dare you? Clyde's eyes were red, and he shook my shoulders with both hands. I know. I lowered my head and smiled. I know. Brother. I felt it the first time I met him. What? Clyde seemed to not understand what I was saying. At first, he would make decisions for me, like what to eat for 3 meals, what to wear when going out, how to allocate time for my studies and hobbies. Everything was arranged perfectly. Later, I had to report truthfully who I met and what time I came home at night. But, isn't this what I want? A control freak and a dependent personality. It's a perfect match. He won't dislike me for clinging to him. And he won't think I'm withdrawn and have no friends, when I don't have my own opinions. He can make choices for me. I took away the hand that Clyde was holding my shoulder. Brother, Felix is like my destined other half. Before, I dreamed of someone making me the center of their world, taking care of me, loving me, and giving me enough security. Life is just a few decades since I've met someone who is a perfect fit for me. Why should I suffer and try to change? Besides, I can feel that we are both getting better. He would change. Giselle must get up at 7 o'clock. 2. Giselle must get enough sleep before getting up. He would encourage me to do everything I wanted to do. Even if I was about to fall, he would immediately pull me up from behind. And my dependence on him gave him a sense of belonging in this world. He was no longer that cold businessman who only cared about profits. He was no longer that crazy person who would self-harm like crazy and hide in the basement when things didn't go his way. We are each other's home. Thinking of this, I really want to go back to the room and hug Felix. Brother, I clung to you too much before and caused you a lot of trouble. When you misunderstood me, I was also angry and sad. But I'm still grateful for your care for me since I was a child. After watching Clyde leave, I immediately opened the door. Felix was standing less than 10 steps away from the door, looking down at his phone. When he heard me come back and open the door, he immediately smiled and opened his arms. Felix. I smiled and threw myself into his arms. What did you cook? It smells so good. Shredded pork with green peppers. The man picked me up and walked towards the dining room. During the last medical examination, it was found that you were anemic. So our Giselle needs to supplement iron. Ah, but I don't like green peppers. No way. You have to eat at least a bite. I cut the green peppers very finely and cooked them very soft. You won't be able to feel them when you mix them with the rice. Okay, I'll eat a little. Good girl. We didn't rush back to Italy. We played around in the country, on the private race track in City H. 2 sports cars, one black and one red, were neck and neck in speed. The wheels were turning at a high speed. The roar of the engines resounded throughout the track. In the end, the black car was a little better and crossed the finish line 1 second faster than the red car. After parking the cars, a man and a woman got out of the driver's seats. I won. Felix leaned against the car door and hooked his finger at the racer in the red sports car. I threw myself into his arms and bit his exposed neck. I tasted the saltiness of sweat in my mouth. My adrenaline was surging, and I was still excited. We kissed passionately. Let's have another race next time. I will definitely beat you. I just won by chance this time. I will work harder later. The opponent is really too strong. Okay. We also participated in several auctions. Felix was obsessed with the auction items that one desires, and then I would raise the bid and buy it for him. Although I was using his property, in the private room of the bar. Clyde, you should drink less. You're almost getting alcohol poisoning. Dan snatched the wine bottle from Clyde's hand. He tried to wake up the man who was drinking to forget his troubles. Why? What? Dan leaned his ear to Clyde's mouth. Why doesn't Giselle come to me anymore? She hasn't pestered me to watch movies, read books, or paint with her for a long time. None of those women are as pretty and well-behaved as Giselle. Secretary Lynn. Yes, Secretary Lynn. I've fired her. She deliberately sowed discord, making our dear Giselle run abroad sadly. Giselle. I regret it. Clyde covered his face with both hands, and tears seeped out from between his fingers. Dan lit a cigarette irritably. As Clyde's best friend, he always thought that Clyde's feelings for Giselle were definitely more than just brother-sister love. But at that time, even if he pointed it out, Clyde wouldn't believe it. So he tried his best to prevent Clyde from hurting Giselle. The current ending was what Clyde brought upon himself. People only realize how precious the things they once thought were the most ordinary are when they lose them. Epilogue. In the morning, Felix stared obsessively at his wife in his arms. After being married for 7 years, Giselle had become more and more charming. They explored new fields together, got into the same university, enjoyed their college life, and had a romantic campus love affair. After graduation, they went on a trip and did charity work. They wrote down the stories of their journey. They had been resting in the manor for 3 months. Next month, they decided to go to Antarctica. They needed to prepare a lot of things during this period. He enjoyed it. Over the years, Giselle had completely cut off contact with the Sue family's parents. It was said that the Sue family's parents had divorced and each had their own new family. As for why her parents didn't love her, Felix thought that it probably didn't matter to Giselle anymore. Some truths were not beautiful. So in their story, there was no need for the answers to the so-called past. Even if they knew the truth, it wouldn't change the current situation. It would only add to their troubles. As for Clyde, his story was even more complicated. And it was still a mess. He married Secretary Lynn from that time. Unbelievable. It was really unbelievable. Back then, Lynn drugged Clyde while he was drunk. After that, she ran to the countryside. She gave birth to a boy and raised him until he was 5 years old before bringing the child back to the Clyde family. Under the pressure of Clyde's grandfather and his parents, the two got married. It was just getting a marriage certificate. After marriage, Lynn kept using the Clyde family's money to support her own family. Later, the Clyde family found out that Lynn actually had 3 younger brothers. They took advantage of being Mr. Clyde's brothers-in-law and made a mess of the Clyde family. But it was too late for Clyde's parents to regret it. It was said that they were now in the process of getting a divorce. Lynn opened her mouth wide and desperately wanted to tear off half of the Clyde family's property. Clyde's mother somehow got Giselle's new phone number. But Felix answered the phone. Dan, who was standing behind me, quickly covered my ears. No one could affect their life. Thinking of this, Felix looked at the time. It was almost time for Giselle to get up. They were going out for breakfast today. He had to match clothes for Giselle later. It was the season when wisteria flowers were in bloom. They could wear a set of purple couple clothes today. Felix lowered his head and kissed Giselle on the forehead. Good morning on this new day, my other half.